Hello Ranger Point Precision friends and family, Pat here, and we have got a cherry little Henry H001 that is going to be in need of one of the Ranger Point Precision Rimfire Peep sights. Of course, we've got brass here, we've got black. I'm kind of undecided as to which one I want to put on this little H001. This thing's looking really nice. I think the brass might stand out, but then again, the rest of it's black. You know, we've got our Rimfire handguard here. It accepts M-LOK accessories and has a QD pocket for a sling. So this thing's kind of leaning toward the new side. So I got a tough decision to make here in just a second. Am I going to put the black on it or the brass? Well, either way, this is going to serve as an installation video for you guys at home that have ordered our product. This Rimfire sight is actually very simple to put on, but there's a couple little aspects about it that are confusing. We've had some customers ask for an installation video, so here you guys go. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to open our action, visibly look into our chamber, make sure there is nothing in there, make sure we do not have any live ammunition within our wingspan, and we can get started. So a decision has been made. We've got bin 56 here in black, we've got bin 62 here in brass. I think this thing is going to look really sharp with the brass. So let's go ahead and remove this. Let's pull off our topper here, and boom, here is our brass peep sight base out of the package. What we're going to do first is we're going to inspect and make sure that the bottom of these set screws aren't protruding through the base. These are what you'll ultimately torque down to get it to fit the top of the receiver. So here we have picked our green cloverleaf aperture. This green, I really like this green fiber optic here because your eyes just seem to grab that green. I've had this on a hunting rifle for at least 2 to 3 years and I really like it. So now it's time to install our aperture into our base. Now our base has wings here. These wings protect that aperture. And what you're going to want is to get that aperture up into that little sight window, so to speak. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this in here like this, and then we're going to take this round circle. And that round circle is what pops into that corresponding slot there on the sight base. So there, now it is popped in. So what we're going to do, remember we had talked about making sure the set screws weren't protruding through the bottom. So now what we're going to do, our firearm being unloaded, let's go ahead and lay this hammer back, and then let's run this right up on there. Now that is looking good. So what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm going to take my Allen screw here and I am going to run this down. We do include hardware in the package, but I kind of like having these tools here. I've got a big nice set here, so I'm going to use my own tools. So I'm just running these down by finger at first. And there are 4 of them there. Now there are 5 holes. That 5th hole doesn't get a set screw. Only the 4 that I'm tightening right here in this little rectangular pattern. So let's go ahead and give this just a little bit more bump. It doesn't take much at all to get this to take a bite. And boom, there we are. The next thing that needs to happen is our rear sight needs to go away. That rear sight is going to be impeding with the use of our base here. So we need this clover leaf to be able to look through and not see that. So simply enough, we've got a small little flathead screw right here. We took a bit that would correspond with it, and we're just going to take and drift this out. Got a plastic end on my screwdriver handle here, so I didn't have to worry about boogering this thing up. So now we've got our peep sight secured, we've got our aperture installed, and this thing is ready to sight in. We've got our included tool here. We've got an Allen key that is meant to adjust the windage and elevation. Now this is a rimfire. This is a Henry H001. It's wearing our Henry little rimfire handguard, but now this is going to be the same whether it's a rimfire or a centerfire, the same process. So what I usually like to do, sometimes I'll go to the range and I'll shoot off of a table, but today what we're going to be doing is shooting off of a shooting tripod. You know, you can do this from a prone position, seated position, however you want to do it. I'm just finding that this is nice and convenient for me today. So what I like to do before I shoot is I'll go ahead and take my tool and center up my aperture just to get my windage right. I like to start out with a large target. This is a 10-inch circle. We're going to place this at 10 yards. That way we can be on paper somewhere and then get this thing fine-tuned. Well, who would have thunk that the first shot would be almost bullseye? Let's go down here and look. So right there we are. We're almost bullseye. So what we're going to need to do is crank that down just a little bit. But the fact that we were almost bullseye and I don't get to do any windage, I'm going to take a couple of shots and give you a couple of examples of what we're going to do. So since my first shot was dead center, that's not teaching us anything. We're going to assume that our first shot was this one. You're going to see this shot is to the left and a little high. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to turn our bullet impact. You'll notice there's an arrow going toward R. You want to turn your bullet impact right. So what we'll do is we'll take our included Allen key, we'll turn it to the right until we get our windage dead centered. So forget all of this. Let's assume that this was our first shot. Now what you're going to see is this needs to come left and down. So what you'll do is you'll turn your Allen key the opposite of R, because that is to the left, and you'll turn it until your bullet is dead centered. And then you'll adjust your elevation until it drops right there. So you're going to be turning it the opposite of U, which is down, to bring that bullet impact down. So let's go ahead and true ours up. So now that we've got this sighted in at 10 yards, we know we're dead on. So we're going to take our chosen ammunition and we're going to consider what would be our effective range. Now, so with this rimfire, you know, I'd probably sight this one in 25, 50 yards, a good squirrel yardage. If you're center fire, then you're going to be taking it and shooting it at your desired distance. Let's say that you're hunting in a field and you can get out to 200 yards and you have a nice flat shooting cartridge that can get there, then that would be where you would start walking your paper out and confirming. So from all of us at Ranger Point Precision, we're glad that you've chosen our Peep sight. Thanks for tuning in and learning how to install and use this. Y'all take care. We'll see you next video.